Hey, everybody, welcome to Think Business. Looking forward to talking with Fred Moskowitz, excuse me. Fred, it's great to connect with you, and I'm looking forward to our talk today. Um, you know,
Thank
as
you.
as as a business coach, and I really appreciate you being on the show. As a business coach, I work with people who are successful and stuck, and I get them unstuck. And so I love having a show where I bring on guests like yourself, where I can give them through you and just questions that they can really start thinking about how they can get unstuck. So I'm looking forward. So thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thank
And
you for having me.
yeah. And I'm looking forward to talking with you about not only investing and entrepreneurship, but also we're going to really dive into your book, right? The Little Green Book of Note Investing, a practical guide for getting started with investing in mortgage notes. Talk about this. I think when the market crashed in
hmm
2008, people started really hearing a little bit more about this and that people were doing this and can do this. And so just in layman terms, um, what does that mean?
Sure. What is note investing, right?
Right.
Note investing is the activity of putting out your capital and buying a mortgage note. And banks and institutions do this all the time. There's this huge secondary market where mortgage notes are bought and sold every day. Yet individual investors also can own a mortgage note. And when you do that, you transition from being the one that's making the monthly payments to being the one that's receiving those monthly payments. So it's a great way for an investor to be in real estate, own a real estate asset without having to
Hmm.
own the property, without having to manage that property. That's all handled by the property owner. And
Yeah.
so I find it's a great way to diversify. If all, let's say, all of your investments are in the stock market, you have Wall Street products, stocks, and mutual funds. I love the idea of owning real estate, and for a lot of people, this is a great way to do that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people. I used to be in commercial real estate. I sold apartment buildings,
Hmm.
and I think a lot of people, when they think about real estate, sometimes they think about commercial, and then they think about owning a home. But a lot of times, they're not thinking about necessarily owning the note of somebody else's real estate. And so, where would people even find the opportunity to do this?
Yes, there are multiple ways. Certainly, people can go out to the secondary mortgage market and buy notes. A lot of these transactions are done through personal relationships are built. Um, so that's one way. But another way is to invest in a mortgage note fund. And for a lot of people, it's a great option. When you invest in a mortgage note fund, the investor puts in their capital and then they receive a passive income stream from the fund. And the big benefit is that the investor gets to work together with the fund managers, with the principals of the fund, and leverage their experience, their expertise, and their relationships in the industry. And that's huge, especially for someone that might be starting out or new to the space, or maybe they're a successful business owner and you just don't have time to be
Hmm.
actively involved in the business. And so this is a great option. And the same thing is done with big apartment buildings, actually, John,
Yeah,
where they can be owned through participating in an offering
yeah.
that allows you to have ownership, yet you're a passive investor. You're not actively involved in managing that apartment building.
Yeah, let's talk about just passive income because you've
Yeah,
been
I love
mentioning that
that.
a lot, and I think it's something that people are really, yeah, I find even more so today, looking for that recurring revenue, that passive
Yes.
income, right? As they're, they just want that extra stream, and so talk a little bit more about that because I know you're guiding investors, in that realm.
Yeah. Oh, this is so powerful, John. And I think it's important for everyone because one of the things is that having passive income, owning investing in assets that generate income for you, whatever form that might be. But if you don't work, or if you can't work, maybe you have a health issue, maybe you have a newborn baby coming into your life and you want to take time to be together with your family, any issues that come up, taking care of an older family member that needs your help. If you have passive income, it allows you to continue having that money coming in and you're not working.
Yeah.
It works for you whether you're working or not. And that just opens up a whole world of options for us,
Yeah.
because life throws all kinds of circumstances at us.
Right.
And, we saw this really front and center with the pandemic, with the world shutting down and stopping. But I think it's so important to have multiple streams of income,
Yeah.
and preferably that they are uncorrelated from each other.
Yeah. Yeah. That's well said. Let's talk a little bit about you. Thank you for that. Let's talk a little bit about you. I believe that, success is never a straight line. And so give us kind of the 1 minute Reader's Digest version of how you got to today, with your business and as an author.
Yeah, absolutely. So, real quick, I started out with a very successful career as a computer engineer, working at technology companies, startup companies. But after having been through all the turmoil of the dot com bubble bursting, and then the September 11th terrorist attacks, I just saw all this turmoil in the world, and I realized that I was taking on such a huge risk by relying on my paycheck from my job as my only source of income. And because of that, that made me turn to investments. And I specifically focus on investments that generate cash flow and income for me. And over time, that has grown and grown. And people were approaching me saying, "Hey, Fred, can I invest money with you? Can I give money to you to invest?" And for the longest time, I turned that down, because there's so much regulations and rules around that, until after a few years of this, then I decided to go out and set up a proper investment fund and do it the right way.
Yeah.
And that brings to where I am today.
That's great. It's you turn kind of a passion. It's always good. I as a business coach, I'm always talking to people, and I work with solopreneurs to Fortune companies and everything between managers, salespeople, owners, leaders, C-level execs, et cetera. But anytime somebody talks about any part of their business or starting a business, the real question always is, will people pay for it? Right. And so you had like a real time thing where people were seeking you. And it's always good to then bridge that over to a business. Quick speed round for you, Fred. You ready?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Book that's had the biggest impact on you.
The book that's had the biggest impact on me is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yeah,
Super impactful.
I just watched the movie. I bought it. I don't know if you saw it. They have a movie on it now. It's great. And I'm reading it again because I just watched the movie for, I think, like the 6th or 7th time. It's such a classic, great book. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes. And I recommend rereading that once a year.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. The best piece of advice you've ever received, Fred?
The best piece of advice I've ever received is to show up in life always as a lifelong learner.
Mm-hmm.
Be open to learning, even if it's something you already know. You may get a new look at it, a new concept, a new nuance that maybe you didn't notice in the past.
Yeah, that is great. I love that. I love that. Tell everybody who your ideal clients are and how they can connect with you and buy and get your book, Fred.
Yeah, absolutely. My ideal clients are people that are looking for passive income streams, looking to learn, looking to grow. And to get in touch with me, the best way to do that is visit my website, which is fredmoskowitz.com. Or if you prefer an easier spelling, you can go to giftfromfred.com and register there. And I'll be happy to send out a a free special report I have about note investing. And
love
my
it.
book is available on Amazon, The Little Green Book of Note Investing.
I love it. Fred, I can't thank you enough for being on the show. Think Community, we started off saying we're going to give you something to get unstuck. And Fred, you left a lot of nuggets along the way in this conversation. But one of the things that resonated with me are two things: are the importance of passive income, and secondly, always be a lifelong learner.
Yes.
I'm a big believer as a business coach. I try to do my best to pump out as much content as I possibly can, and also learn as much as I possibly can. And it's something that I talk about to the Think community a lot. So I appreciate those words. Think community. Always great connecting with you, Fred. Great connecting with you. You know
Thank
how to
you,
get a hold
Jon.
of Fred. If anybody needs to get a hold of me, please go to jondwoskin.com. Fred, it was a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jon.